Hello shibboleth officers, welcome to my channel. Today, we want to dig into the ultimate question that all cat slaves are concerned about. How did your kitten domesticate humans into their own exclusive shoveling officers, step by step? Do you have any friends like me, who used to think that Chinese pastoral cats were native to China? The conclusion I want to share today may surprise you all. Domestic cats in the world. Whether they are Chinese pastoral cats, British shorts, or American shorts, have only one common ancestor, which is the African wildcat. Hearing this, someone must have asked, "No, we are so big in China, don't we have our own native cats?" Of course there is. China is a country with a super rich variety of cats, such as Asian wildcats and desert cats, which are all native breeds, especially desert cats, which are still unique to China. But here comes the point. These native wild cats, as well as the cats that the ancient Chinese tried to domesticate in the early days, have basically nothing to do with the domestic cats we raise now in terms of genetics. Don't rush to refute. Then I will use the most popular words to explain to you the history of cat domestication for 10,000 years. As early as the end of the last century, there was a geneticist named Driscoll in the United States who did a super classic cat genetic research. He collected DNA samples from nearly 1,000 cats from Southern Africa, the Caucasus, Central Asia, the Middle East, and Mongolia, both feral and domestic. The core of his research is a kind of mitochondrial DNA inherited only by the mother, which is equivalent to doing a family traceability for cats, grouping cats with similar genes, and then seeing if they live in the same place. The results are particularly clear. These cats are divided into a total of 5 genetic families. 4 of the families can correspond to known wildcat subspecies, and they all have fixed habitats, namely European wildcats, Asian wildcats, Chinese desert cats, and South African wildcats. But the 5th family is amazing, which includes not only African wildcats from the Middle East and North Africa, but also all domestic cats around the world. Whether it is an American pet cat, a purebred cat in the United Kingdom, or a Chinese pastoral cat in China, or even a stray cat in Israel and the Arabian Peninsula, there is almost no difference between their DNA and African wildcats. This study directly proves that all domestic cats have only one place of origin, the earliest in the Middle East and North Africa. This is also in line with a consensus in the academic community, the earliest birthplace of human civilization. The crescent fertile soil belt of the Two Rivers Basin is the place where cats and humans began to coexist. At that time, about 10,000 to 12,000 years ago, the fertile soil belt of the crescent first developed a farming civilization, and people began to grow a large amount of food and hoard food, which attracted rats. African wildcats living in nearby grasslands and deserts, because they were hungry, followed the mice to find human settlements. This has formed a super-tacit reciprocal relationship. Humans need wildcats to catch mice and protect precious food. Feral cats can find stable food around humans and hide from natural enemies. Slowly, humans began to take the initiative to feed some food to the wild cats, touch them to show friendliness, and some docile wildcats stayed, which was the beginning of the cat's first conquest of humans, and the world's first batch of shoveling officers were born. Seriously, cats can capture humans, and appearance is definitely a big killer, especially kittens with big round eyes, flat faces, and high foreheads. As soon as these characteristics come out, human beings are directly full of protective desire. Many kittens are carefully cared for by humans, and slowly become the earliest prototypes of domestic cats. However, at that time, cats were not fully domesticated, more like a semi-wild state. And humans would not restrict their freedom. They could come and go whenever they wanted. In fact, this was a kind of self-domestication. It was the cat that actively chose to coexist with humans. The earliest evidence of close contact between humans and cats is a 9,000-year-old cat tooth found in Israel and a 9,500-year-old cat bone found in Cyprus, which was buried with humans. You must know that Cyprus is an island, and cats cannot run over by themselves. They must have been brought over by humans, which shows that cats have entered human life 10,000 years ago. But at that time, cats were more like African wildcats in appearance and habits, and they would not be fully domesticated until ancient Egypt 5,000 years later. The ancient Egyptian civilization rose in the Nile River Basin, and the Mesopotamian civilization in the two river basins was very close, and the two civilizations exchanged particularly frequently. Many of the crops and livestock of ancient Egypt were passed down from the fertile soil belt of the Crescent, so cats that had completed initial domestication were likely to enter Egypt with farming technology. In Egypt, the status of cats was directly raised to the height of gods, which was also the second time cats conquered humans. In ancient Egypt, there was a goddess named Best, who was the image of a cat-headed person representing a good harvest and love. In their culture, the female cat symbolizes the moon, gentle and kind. The male cat symbolizes the sun and is the embodiment of the sun god. In order to protect cats, Egypt has also set a very strict law. Killing a cat, even if it is not careful, can be punished with death. If the cat in the house dies, the whole family should shave their eyebrows in mourning until they grow out. Moreover, the cat's corpse must be embalmed, mummified, and buried in a special cat cemetery, which is unique in ancient civilization. Later, some scientists extracted DNA from Egyptian cat mummies, compared with modern domestic cats, and found that the DNA of the two was exactly the same, especially the closest to domestic cats in the Middle East and North Africa, which further confirmed the claim that domestic cats originated in this region. At the height of ancient Egypt, around 500 BC, cats began to follow trade activities to the world. The ancient Egyptians would take cats on grain ships and let them catch mice to protect the granaries, and these ships took cats to various parts of the Roman Empire along the Mediterranean route. Venetian merchants who were good at sailing also brought cats to England, and even spread to South Asia through land trade. But the cat's road to conquest was not all smooth sailing, and after arriving in Europe, they suffered a catastrophe. After the collapse of the Roman Empire, Europe entered a dark Middle Ages where religious forces took control. In Christian doctrine, demons are always associated with darkness and night, and cats' habits of going out day and night and whereabouts mysteriously hit the muzzle of the gun, and are regarded as an ominous object or even the embodiment of the devil. Black cats in particular were directly labeled as demon messengers. Beginning around 1300, Europe launched a centuries-long cat-killing campaign, and cat-killing even became part of religious rituals. This persecution has almost wiped out cats in many areas, and here is a common misconception. Many people say that the Black Death was caused by the killing of cats, but it is actually inaccurate. The main vector of the Black Death is fleas with plague bacillus, and the host is black mice. But the decline of cats has left mice without natural predators, and the population has skyrocketed, indirectly exacerbating the spread of the epidemic. The plague claimed the lives of 25 million Europeans, which can be regarded as a painful lesson from human persecution of cats. It was not until the end of the Middle Ages, the European Renaissance, and the opening of the Age of Discovery that cats had the opportunity to conquer mankind for the third time, and this time from the ocean. At that time, the trade routes in the Middle East were monopolized by the Arab Empire, and European countries could only turn to the ocean to find new routes. On a long sea journey, the crew has to face reefs, storms, pirates, and an even more deadly enemy, rats. These rats will eat up food, bite ropes and sails, and even bite through decks, making them a deadly threat on ships with limited supplies. At this time, the crew remembered the cat, and don't forget to bring a cat before boarding, became the consensus at the time. Although cats are afraid of water, they are flexible, have good balance, and can still catch mice in dark and crowded cabins, and soon become indispensable sailor cats. At that time, there were also special navigation regulations to protect cats, such as the Consueto Maritime Law Manual, which stipulated that each ship must be equipped with 1 to 2 cats, and if the cat hired by the captain fell into the sea while catching rats and died, he would also compensate for the loss, unless he bought a new cat as soon as possible to make up for it. In Iwu Senar, the British Admiralty's charter also clearly stipulated that a dog and a cat must be brought on the voyage, which shows the importance of cats. In this way, the cat followed the fleet of explorers such as Columbus and da Gama across the Atlantic and Indian Oceans to the Americas and Australia. Columbus's fleet, the American Mayflower, and Captain Cook's Determination all had cats with them. It is recorded that Cook's fleet was seriously infested with rats, and when passing through Moorea Island, the locals also asked them to leave the cats on board to control the rats. Relying on the shipping network of the Age of Discovery, the cat finally traveled to all continents except Antarctica, truly realizing the unified cat star. Speaking of this, the attitudes of different civilizations towards cats are particularly different. Islamic culture is particularly kind to cats, and the Prophet Muhammad liked cats very much. And there is a widely circulated story. His pet cat Miiza slept on his robe, and in order not to disturb the cat, he cut off part of the robe. The teachings also clearly called for the treatment of animals, so Arab merchants who were active on the Silk Road would trade with cats and bring cats to the East. In addition, Buddhism and Hinduism also regard cats as symbols of wisdom, and Indian temples will raise cats to protect Bayou scriptures from being gnawed by mice, and cats have also been introduced to China with Buddhism. Back in China, many people are curious about where did Chinese cats come from. Ming Dynasty scholar Zheng Dai said in Night Voyage Boat that the cat was brought from the West by Tung Seng when he learned the scriptures, and although the communicator was wrong, the timeline was roughly reliable. The latest archaeological and genetic research confirms that domestic cats were introduced to China from Central Asia by merchants through the Silk Road before and after the Tang Dynasty, and the earliest remains of domestic cats in China were unearthed at the site of Tungwang Tang in the Tang Dynasty in Shanxi about 10 Lambai years ago. Before the Tang Dynasty, cats were rarely mentioned in the literature, until the prosperity of the Silk Road in the Tang Dynasty. Domesticated domestic cats from Egypt and Persia were introduced, and their docile character and efficient rat-catching ability quickly won the love of the court nobles. An Wu Zetian and Lu Yu were famous cat slaves. Lu Yu also wrote that the creek firewood is soft and warm, and I don't go out with the raccoon slave, and the raccoon slave here is the ancients' nickname for cats. Slowly, cats integrated into Chinese society, and the ancients also gave them many poetic names according to the color of the cat's coat, such as toothjade, embroidered tiger, snow-stepping, and black cat, full of oriental aesthetics. When it comes to civet cats, many people think they are endemic to China, but they are not. The markings of the civet cat are atavistic phenomena and are not the result of crossing with the native ocelot. In terms of classification, domestic cats belong to the genus feline family, and ocelots belong to the genus ocelot, which have reproductive isolation and cannot be interbred under natural conditions. The markings of the civet cat are the original coat color of the African wildcat, the ancestor of the domestic cat, which is also found in European wildcats and desert cats and is not unique to China. Moreover, ordinary flower cats can also give birth to civet-patterned kittens, which further proves that it is an atavistic trait and not a hybrid product. Finally, I would like to tell you that the conclusion that domestic cats originated in Africa does not deny the value of Chinese pastoral cats. The origin of species and the origin of civilization are two different things. Just like the wheat and corn we eat are alien species, but they have long been integrated into Chinese civilization. Chinese civilization has also exported 4 major inventions, silk and tea, to change the world. Although the ancestors of the Chinese pastoral cat came from Africa, it has coexisted with humans on the land of China for thousands of years and has become a part of Chinese culture, carrying our emotions and memories. Now, when you look at the kittens around you, do you think it's amazing? Their ancestors traveled through deserts and oceans and experienced countless difficulties and obstacles before they came to us. And this fate that spanned thousands of years is really precious. If today's content gives you a new understanding of the cat at home, don't forget to like, comment, share the video with your cat lover friends around you. And you can also talk about the color and personality of your cat in the comment area. Friends who haven't subscribed yet, hurry up and subscribe. We will talk about more cold knowledge about cats in the next issue. See you in the next issue.